All righty. Kicking things off, this is free resources to help start your business. My name is Hadiza Sa-Aadu. I am the small business and nonprofit specialist at the Kansas City Public Library. And joining me today is Mitchell Fitzpatrick of Vetbiz. So before we really start to get into things, I'd love to, if any of you are feeling up for it, if you'd like to introduce yourselves and maybe share what your business is, if you already have one. I'm assuming we probably don't. If you have a business idea that you feel like sharing, or more generally, if you'd like to share why you signed up for today's session. And you don't have to, but if there's anybody that would like to, feel free to type in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, or I think I might have made it so that you can't unmute yourselves. I'm sure you can, if anybody would like to share.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ken.
Hi, folks. My name is Ken Riggins, and I am I think I'm probably one of the silliest people in the world. But my story, very quickly, is I've been retired from the military, and I worked as a civil servant for 18 years. I'm 65 years old, but I took a job at a hotel, driving people to and from the airport. And what I found is I really enjoy that. I call myself a master of a 12-minute conversation. And so for me, I said, well, now how could I take this further? I said, well, maybe I'll open up a limousine service, because I think people need, desire quality, safe transportation, and that's my idea. And so any help y'all can give me, I sure appreciate it.
Awesome. I love to hear about that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ken. And for you to know, I'll pose this to everyone. Do any of you know about the small business resources at the library, or do you use the library for other resources? Okay, cool. Neil says he is unaware of library resources. All right, well, hopefully by the end of our time today, you'll be a little bit more clear about what the library has to offer you. So everything that is shown today is free of charge because it is the library. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So if you are brand new to the library, we have a number of digital resources that I have basically become an expert in that can help you with getting started with your small business. The first one I'm going to start with, well, just to set some expectations, I am not going to go into any real detail with any of these, but just know that each of these resources is very powerful in its own right. So the first one I'm going to mention is called Legal GPS. I'm going to click on this link here, and it's going to take us to the Legal GPS entry in the Kansas City Public Library digital catalog. You can get here from the home page, which I'll show you. But I generally just send people the link directly, because our website is, if you're not used to it, it's kind of overwhelming. So when you are on the page for any entry that you're looking at in the digital catalog, in this case, Legal GPS, you will see a green button here with a link. And in this case, we're going to be accessing Legal GPS. So we'll click on that link. But before we click on that, let's go ahead and read a little bit about what Legal GPS is. So Legal GPS removes legal barriers for entrepreneurs and aspiring business owners by providing a series of step-by-step questionnaires. Create an account to get started or contact our community reference librarians for help. So that is me. It's just singular. So I will help you with that if you schedule a meeting with me. So I am assuming that the people that are on this session today have never used Legal GPS, never used really anything in the library. So me providing this background, it's just a little bit of context. The way that you access Legal GPS has changed from the past, but that doesn't apply to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to, once you click on access, you're going to be taken to a page that tells you to create an account through something called Wayfarer. So don't get thrown off. It's still Legal GPS. Wayfarer is basically an umbrella that houses several different paths, and Legal GPS is one of them. So I already have an account, so I will just go ahead and sign in. And because I already have an account and I already selected my path, I'm automatically at Legal GPS. But if you'd like, you can go to home and then you'll see what the different Wayfarer paths are. And I'll actually show a little bit more broadly what Wayfarer is because it might apply even though we are talking about business. There are other paths in Wayfarer that might make sense for folks if you're doing anything as far as like looking for a new job or something like that. So just to orient ourselves with Legal GPS, this is a tool, like the blurb said, that takes you through a series of questionnaires and helps you basically figure out what you need to do to get officially registered as a business. I see somebody wrote in the chat. Let's see. Okay. So basically, this tool assumes that you know absolutely nothing about the legal environment of getting set up. It assumes you don't know what an LLC is, or what a corporation is, or what a nonprofit is. And it also assumes that you don't know what the tax entities are, which I didn't know before getting to really know this tool several years ago. So I'll just show you briefly what it looks like. Oh, I have to reset this dashboard. So you'll be at level 1.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pause I'm gonna make sure that everybody is muted before we continue. I think we're good. All right. So Legal GPS is gonna help you understand how to use the tool. And once you're done with each task, you will check off that you have completed each task. So let's actually go to the very beginning here. That way, I don't need to look at the results. I need to look at the beginning. Okay, so really, it's going to guide you through each thing. And I can't get quite in depth with it just because there's quite a bit of information. But just know that level 1 is really to help you identify what the best entity is for your business if you don't already know. If you do already know, level 1 helps you really understand, is this actually the right choice for me? And it helps you really be sure in your decisions. And then level 2, after you've basically told the tool in level 1 based off of the answers to your questions, level 2 is going to tell you, okay, so you have selected this entity, say it's an LLC. This is what you need to do and in what order you need to do it to get your LLC officially registered through the Secretary of State, and make sure that all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. So if anything, Legal GPS is a tool that helps you identify any unknowns that you have in the world of legal related to your business. So maybe you know a little bit, maybe you already know a lot. Legal GPS is going to help you identify what you don't know so that you're not wasting your time on a goose chase, or worse, wasting money on hiring a lawyer who may not necessarily have the expertise. So at the very least, you can refine your questions before you go to an attorney, if that is something that you choose to do. Okay, so that is very briefly legal GPS, and I haven't gotten into it at all. So I'm absolutely, usually what happens is I work with people with legal GPS for their first run through with it, and then people use it on their own because it is quite a bit of a time commitment. You're setting, this is for your learning. So understand that it's not really like, oh, I'm going to be in this tool for 1 hour and then I'm going to forget about it for like 4 months. This is something that is going to be with you for, it's going to be something that really does guide your decisions, and you'll want to make sure that you refer back to it. All right. So the next tool that we're going to go to is called Gale Business Plan Builder. So this is for when you're ready to make a business plan. But even before that, it helps you get your ideas organized. I'll put it that way. So very similar to Legal GPS, this is what the Gale Business Plan Builder entry looks like in our digital catalog. You will click on this link here in the lime green box. And before we click on that, we'll read the blurb. Gale Business Plan Builder offers personalized tools and guidance to help you build your business, including your business plan, from new entrepreneurs to experienced business owners to nonprofit fundraisers. So similar to Legal GPS, you're going to create a separate login for this because you're going to return back to your work here. So I already have an account. So it will just automatically sign me in. And just for you all to know whether or not you are here because you want to do a for-profit business or a nonprofit business, this is a tool that can help from either perspective. But we're going to focus on for-profit for now, just to show you how this tool is kind of like laid out. So we've got 5 different levels, so to speak, starting with entrepreneur profile. And this level 1, we're usually past that when I'm working with people. Entrepreneur profile is really for those people that have said, okay, I eventually want to become a small business owner or an entrepreneur, one and the same. But I don't really know what my idea is yet. This is a tool to really just help you evaluate yourself as a potential leader in that case. So it asks you a few questions. You don't have to go through this necessarily, but it is a good exercise. Even if you already have a business idea or your business is already operating, especially if you're looking to go into something different. I think some of the most important questions to consider here, regardless of your stage, is to think about what are your resources? What kind of support network can you rely on? What personal and professional relationships do you have that can support your business? And how do you handle setbacks? So each of these purple boxes you can click on and will provide prompts to help kind of clarify the question and help guide your thinking if you're kind of stumped. So even if you feel like some of these questions you don't know the answer to yet, what that tells you is, okay, this might be an area that I need to work on in some form or fashion as I continue on this path of developing a business. So I'm not going to spend really any more time in that part. Go back to the dashboard. The most amount of time that I tend to spend on with people is this second section, business ideation in the lean canvas. So there is a tool that you may or may not be familiar with. Usually people are not that familiar with it when I ask them. It's called the business model canvas. Don't worry about the term, like it's just a tool to help you figure out what is going to go into basically what are the main things that are important when you are actually operating as a business. So before you're even operating, it forces you to think about the things that maybe you haven't even thought of. And again, similar to the entrepreneur profile, each of these purple boxes gives you prompts and additional resources to look through to help you answer the question. It's not really questions, but you're really just kind of planning out what's going on. So every business is going to be addressing some kind of problem from the customer's perspective. So the main thing to think about with this is you are looking at this always from the customer's perspective. And this is absolutely something that I help people with one-on-one. I help people kind of think through each of the different components and just go deeper into each of the different sections and what they mean and what different examples we can come up with together based off of your idea. Okay, so we'll go back to the dashboard. Break-even analysis is really useful for people that kind of already have an idea of what their sales will be for the first year if they're, if that's kind of the way their business is set up. I'm not going to really cover that, but basically what this is if you already have numbers in mind based off of your costs and your revenue, you can generate a break-even analysis report, which is really useful in potentially finding financing through various different means. And then number 4, business plans. So instead of having to do a business plan from scratch, you can use a template here that also has prompts. It starts off with the lean business plan, which is just the more abbreviated version. But basically, it's got all of the different inputs and you just edit each section, put in the information, and it creates the business plan for you. So you don't have to format this on your own. So just note that in the right-hand corner here for each thing that you have, each section, you can download what you have created. And let me see where that is, actually. Well, after you're done, there's an option to either save it as a PDF or a Word document. So you can do that once you have gone through each of the different components. Okay, so won't spend any more time in there just because we have more to show. The last section on this is financial projections. So this is after you're already in operation as a business. This basically has you account for any loans that you have, all of the assets that you have, and then what you think your sales are going to be based off of the sales you already have. And this is way more in depth. I don't typically go through this with people just because usually I'm not working with people that are at that point. But sometimes I do. Just know that that is there for your use. Okay, so that is Gale Business Plan Builder. The next tool I'm going to briefly cover is called Statista, and this is a very useful tool for doing industry research, market research, understanding trends based off of consumer behavior. So basically, this is a database that gives you access to different infographics, reports, and statistics themselves on different topics. So as you can see here, there are some trending topics down here that you can, if you're just interested in looking at on your own, feel free to. But you can just come up with kind of a keyword or key phrase based off of whatever industry it is that you are seeking to go into. You can also go off of the navigation bar here and just look by industry. So we've got consumer goods, internet, media and advertising, retail and trade, sports and recreation, technology and telecommunication, transportation and logistics. So this might be useful for you to look at, as well as travel, tourism, and hospitality. So there's a lot to dive into with Statista, and that's why I'm just trying to avoid getting into any rabbit hole here. But again, I'm here to help with this one-on-one, and I will share more information on that once I'm through all of this. Okay, so that is Statista. I know that I just breezed through that, but this is here for you to play with on your own. There is also a recorded session that I did called Introduction to Statista, where I went through a keyword search and different ways to go about a search in Statista that I will absolutely share in a follow-up email. That way you have that if you like to watch videos to help you learn. But also note that this resource is the newest resource that we have. So I've spent the least amount of time with it compared to the rest of the resources. So I will be even more of an expert on the different nuances of Statista as time moves forward. All right, so back to the different resources. That was Statista. Now we are gonna take a look at demographics now. Similar to Statista, this is a very useful tool for market research. Statista, I would say, is more national or international based. Demographics Now gets a lot more local. With this tool, you can create lists of businesses. However, I'm not going to look at that function today because I'm going to show a different tool that I think is better for that specific purpose. So we'll click on Demographics Now. If you want to generate a list, you can do that with the People and Companies tab here. I'm not going to cover that right now. You can generate a list of demographics that I can show you how to do. It is, to some people, this is self-explanatory. For others, it's not. Don't worry if this is confusing. I will help you with this. But the tool that I use the most with this is the Maps tool. And I'm going to just briefly show you how this works. What you do with this is you select a geographic location. And so I'm just going to select Kansas City. I'm going to select Kansas City, Missouri. And then it goes ahead and draws an outline of Kansas City, Missouri. And then from there, I can look at these thematic controls and I can find any variable that makes sense for what my business is or what the consumers of my business might be, the customers. And then I'll go into variable. And so each of these variables comes from either the census itself or census community surveys that are focused on the business side of that. So you can get all kinds of summaries here. I'm going to go on business summary just to show you how deep it gets. So this will give you estimates. And we're just going to go by establishments. And let's go by large establishment and see. So what we have here are each of the larger industry categories under large establishments that you can absolutely go on a rabbit hole to find the more specific industries within each. And I'm going to do one agricultural services just to show you what happens once we run the variable. So what we're looking at here is now a heat map showing this variable and its density based off of the location. So this is agricultural services. So we're talking about business establishments, and the darker the color, the more dense, the lighter the color, the less dense. And this is absolutely something I can help you read once we go through a search that actually pertains to you. Okay, so that is demographics now. Again, I did breeze through that. There's a lot more you can do with demographics now, especially if you're already operating as a business and you have a business, you have a list of customers. You can generate very in-depth demographic reports based off of who your customers already are. And once you're ready for that, I can show you how to do that. Okay. The next tool is A to Z. I did just mention this as the tool that I believe is more useful for generating lists. This is also useful in doing the market research and especially competitive research. So whether you are realizing that you need to find partners or distributors for any aspect of your business, or you need to figure out who is already competing in this industry, in this geographic location, A to Z can help you do that. And I'll just show you what it looks like. This homepage, you can, if you already have a business in mind that you want to look up information on, you can search for that business itself. Or you can start your search with this 30 million businesses and executives, and you can select any of these parameters to help refine your search. I will show you that under keyword/business type, we've got the major industry group here. And if you're not sure exactly what industry you're operating in or what it's called, this could help you figure that out. And it also provides the codes that are relevant to that. So each of these plus signs allows you to expand the category. And then while you expand that, you're also getting more detailed. So you can see the schema and how it gets more and more detailed. And that is for each section. So I will stop there with that. Again, this is something you can also go quite in depth in. There's a maps tool with this as well that I can show you how to use. And then there's also ways to, once you do a search based off of your parameters, there's ways to kind of organize the search results so that you're not overwhelmed with what you're looking at if it's a large search. Okay, and also note that with each search, what I do want to do actually is I'm going to just look at Amazon. That way you can see what an entry looks like for a specific business. So this is going to default to like all the different locations. So I'm just going to click on this first one, Amazon Web Services. And this is just to show you what an entry looks like for a business within A to Z. One thing that's super useful here is the area competitors. This helps you get a very localized sense of what's going on in the industry, and then also nearby businesses. So expanding beyond just the industry, but staying local. Okay. All right, let me quickly go back to our very short slideshow. I'm not gonna go into these next couple of resources, but I did want to mention we do have nonprofit specific resources. The first one is Foundation Directory Online, and this helps you find grants. And this is actually only available at the Central Library itself. So you'll have to make a visit to the downtown library for that if you have a nonprofit that you're looking for grants for. GrantSpace, nonprofit startup assessment tool. If you are new to the world of nonprofits, this helps you really assess what you need to do as a nonprofit representative to get things in order. And then also we covered Legal GPS and Gale Business Plan Builder, but these tools are also applicable for nonprofit specific contexts. So just know that if you are looking to start a nonprofit and you are trying to figure out what are the steps that I need to follow within the Secretary of State and legally and getting the tax exempt status, what do I actually have to do? What are the forms? Legal GPS will walk you exactly through that. And then Gale Business Plan Builder also has a nonprofit version of that within the tool, that everything that we saw in the for-profit version is adapted for the nonprofit mission-based context. So just know that those tools are there, and I am also available for one-on-one help, like I have mentioned. I have the link to that here. This is my Calendly, so you can do a 30-minute or a 60-minute meeting. It defaults to virtual, but you can tell me if you want to meet in person, and we will meet at the Central Library. So that is in the form itself. So if you'd rather meet in person, that is absolutely an option, but it defaults to virtual, just, in case that's more convenient, especially with the foundation directory online. If you can't make a trip down to the library but want to understand how it works, I can go through that with you virtually while I'm here, and then even send you some search results of different foundation owners. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my share there, and then I'm going to hand it off to Mitch, who is going to talk about Vetbiz.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. First of all, I'm just going to share some slides real quick.
Let me make sure that you are a co-host. Oh, you got it. Great.
Yeah, looks like I can, so I'm good.
Excellent.
Perfect. Give me just a second. All right. And are you seeing on your end the presentation full screen?
Okay. Not full screen. It's still in the PowerPoint app.
Okay, let me do something really quick.
There we go.
All right. Well, while I'm getting this set up here, my name is Mitch Fitzpatrick. I work for Vetbiz, which operates a Veterans Business Outreach Center. And essentially what we do is we cater our services towards military spouses, currently serving individuals, and already separated veterans. So anything from A to Z that you can really think about what you would need in your business, that's what we're here to serve you with. So our mission, pretty straightforward here, to impact our communities by building strong veteran businesses. And the good news about this is, even if you're not a veteran, you're not military affiliated in any way, that is completely okay. There's a lot of resources I'm going to touch on here towards the end and show you guys that are for anybody looking to get into small business. So that's just happens to be who we cater towards at Vetbiz, but all of these resources are available to anyone looking to get into business. And I did see in the chat box, we heard from, I believe it was Ken and Renisha and Neil, they all shared there at the beginning. So if anybody else wants to put in the chat box that we did not hear from already, kind of what brought you to the class. If you're a veteran, if you're military affiliated in any way, that would be awesome to know, but feel free to do that. So just talking about veterans and business ownership, diving down a little bit deeper into that. Veterans own about 9.1%, or if you go to some webinars, they'll round up and say 10% of all the small businesses in the United States. When you actually think about that statistic, the current statistic out there by the Census Bureau is that 6.4% of the population are veterans in the United States. So the fact that there's a bigger proportion of small businesses, so 6.4% of the population are veterans, but they own nearly 10% of all small businesses. It shows you that there's a trend there, and there's a reason for that trend. It's a lot of those soft skills that even if you're not a veteran, those soft skills you learn in your professional environment, like resiliency, being a team leader, all those things that help you in your professional life can be applied to entrepreneurship. So how can we help specifically? And all the resources I'm going to touch on, how can we all help you specifically? From ideation stage. So some of you mentioned, I saw in the chat box that you had an idea or you were exploring options. We can help you there as well. Just kind of see, is this a good idea? How much funding do I need? Building a business plan, doing the market research, which all the tools you just saw in the previous presentation really help you out with that. Anything you really need, from I just have an idea, but I don't know what to do next, to now I'm actually seriously considering it. I want to start putting funding towards this and moving this forward. We can help you there as well. And then lastly there, that's kind of like the growth stage clients getting into business versus staying in business. And we'll touch on that briefly as well. So these are some of the programs that we participate in or hold ourselves. The Boots to Business and Reboot. So these are done on the military installations. And Neil, you mentioned that you were transitioning out of the military. So I don't know if you've already gone through the TAP course or planning to take the Boots to Business class, but this is an opportunity that's available to you. It's a very general entrepreneurship program. And for you, Neil, since you're already on post, you would just talk to your TAP transition office and just let them know that you're interested in taking the Boots to Business class. And I'm sure they can help you out with that. But a very 10,000 foot level overview on entrepreneurship. And we also offer reboots, which are like a one-day condensed version of those courses. And those are done online. So those are available to anybody. Okay, perfect. Going to Fort Carson in December. Awesome. Good news. This is another program we offer. It's called Vetbiz Activate. This is very similar, you know, kind of that 10,000 foot overview on entrepreneurship. I have an idea, but I don't know what to do next. That's where we really live with that. So it's a 6-week course. We have different people come in from the area, everything from legal considerations with a lawyer we have that volunteers his time to, you know, in-depth market research tools to building out your business plan to financing considerations. That's what we talk about in the class. And the idea is you go from day one of I have an idea to week number 6 when you finally graduate and you say, okay, I had an idea at the beginning. Now I actually have some considerations with my idea. I know what to do next and I'm working towards actually making this business go. So that's kind of the idea behind Vetbiz Activate. If you want to learn more or want to sign up for that course, you just go to vetbiz.com/activate, as it says down there. And then growth stage clients. So we talked about, you know, that kind of intro level client, but growth stage clients, we serve you guys as well. So if you're already in business, this is definitely something you want to think about. What's your strategy for harvesting the venture? Because what happens a lot of the time, and some of you that are just getting into business may experience this as well, so I hope this sticks with you, is you start doing the thing. So you start whatever it is, laying the shingle, doing the limousine services that were mentioned earlier, or you know, transportation services, or you know, whatever you're going to be doing, you start doing it and you do it yourself, because that's how you start out. You start your small business doing it yourself. You wouldn't hire somebody to do it for you at the very beginning. You got to work out some of those kinks yourself. But what happens sometimes is you get so stuck in doing the thing that you never move on to actually working on your business instead of working in your business all the time. So that's something we really harp on and we really work with all of our, you know, transitioning business owners. Ken, Boots to Business, Fort Leavenworth, 7th December. Perfect. And I will probably be the one giving that class. I can't say 100% for sure right this second, but I might see you on December 7th then. And then CEO Roundtable. This is something we offer to those growth stage clients, people that are already in business. And what we do is we bring in subject matter experts, whether it is an accountant we had recently come in and speak to our existing business owners. We had the gentleman that was seated here was all about, you know, marketing and social media presence. So he kind of spoke to that. So that's the idea behind it. We hold it monthly in our Vetbiz office, which is actually downtown St. Louis. But we're looking at possibly expanding that because we do cover a wide area. We cover all of Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, and Scott Air Force Base, Southern Illinois area. So we do cover that wide area, and this is something we may be expanding later on. But if you're in St. Louis or near the St. Louis area, this might be something you're looking to get into as well. So this is how I'm going to close out. I'm going to highlight some resources. I'm going to stop sharing the slides and I'm going to show you some of these things in action. But we're all about resource referral as well, right? Resource at the right time. And these are some examples of those that I'm going to show you. All of these no cost. So nothing out of pocket for any of these resources. Veterans Business Outreach Center, which I highlighted. The good news is, Neil, even though you're not kind of in our footprint, these are all national programs. So no matter where you're at or where you're going to land across the country, there will be a Veterans Business Outreach Center to serve you. Or SCORE, they do mentorship. So the idea behind SCORE is they've been there, done that before in business, and they're there to kind of assist you along the way. They do assist with some technical aspects as well, but the main thing SCORE really lives in is kind of that mentorship aspect. Same idea with SCORE. They have SCORE chapters all across the country. So you can sign up for free. I'll show you their website here briefly in a moment. America's SBDC, so Small Business Development Center, very similar to a VBOC or Veterans Business Outreach Center. The only main difference being with an SBDC, they serve anybody, where the Veterans Business Outreach Center is geared towards veterans, military spouses, currently serving individuals. Women's Business Center, same idea. Any technical aspects of your business where they mainly serve women entrepreneurs. Kansas City Public Library. So I will always like to give some love to our library systems. St. Louis County Library here in St. Louis, Wichita Public Library. There's so many great library systems out there. And it's definitely worth exploring, because I'm going to highlight just one tool that we have available, and all those tools that you saw available, those have dollar figures attached to them. If you just go out there privately and try to get some of these tools. Like, the Gale Business Plan Builder, which you saw, or Legal GPS. Those things often have cost associated to subscribe to those softwares. But if you go through like the Kansas City Public Library, you never have to pay anything out of pocket for that. Or, one of the ones I'm going to show you that we use at the VBOC. So, I can't highlight enough how reaching out and being connected to all of these services can really pay off for you, save you a lot of time, save you a lot of money as well. So that's my soapbox on that. And then one other one I'm going to highlight, if anybody's looking to get into government contracting, procurement technical assistance centers, or PTACs. I put Missouri here just because I'm in Missouri, but these are nationwide programs. They are the subject matter experts on anything government contract. So this is our website, and then I'm going to show you, go to my browser and show you the rest, and then we'll kind of close out here. But to sign up for our services, if you care to do so, it is vetbiz.com, vetbiz.com. And you can see kind of what programs we have going on and everything. Or if you just want our no-cost consulting services, just click that request consulting tab and we'll get you started. What it does then is it sends you to another web page where you enter in your information so we can contact you and finish out your registration. So that is available to you if you care to do so. And next steps. So what I'm going to do is kind of close out with this slideshow. I'm going to show you some pages on my internet browser, but this is my QR code if anybody wants to reach out to me directly, or there's my email as well. And let me just stop sharing. I'm going to share my browser really quick and just show you some of these, and then I'll come back to that. Okay, so first one I pulled up here, Google Trends, and I'm actually going to copy and paste these into the chat box just so you guys have them if you want to grab them. But this is Google Trends. So the reason I highlight this one, and this is a free resource for anybody, would be, think back 20, 30 years, even 40 years ago. How did people like to make their purchasing decisions? Well, they like to be sold to. That's how business was kind of done. Now, if you think about technology and the way we make decisions as consumers today, what do? When we're curious about anything, a restaurant, or we're going traveling, what do? We research. That's how we make a lot of our purchasing decisions. So this kind of dives into that. And a lot of places we research, let's be honest, we often go to Google. So, this breaks down all the Google searches happening across the nation or in a specific area. So like, for example, let me put woodworking in here, just something random. Woodworking. So I search woodworking, what's going on with Google and woodworking. I can, cater to whatever search I want to do here. If I want to do the past year, past month, past 7 days, and then I can click even further, like for the state of Missouri, for example, I can click into Missouri. These are the counties and the areas that care most about woodworking or searching woodworking the most. And if I want to go to St. Louis specifically, for example, I can click down even further and see within St. Louis, these are, the places that are searching woodworking the most as compared to others. And then also outside of that, what in particular with woodworking are they caring about? So this could be useful for you. I'm not saying this is the end all be all and you have to follow, what this says, but it could be useful for you. So an example of that was, We had eyeglasses, a gentleman that was looking to open up an eyeglasses store in St. Louis, here locally, one of our clients. And he kind of paid attention to some of these Google trends, and he was keeping tabs on them over time. And one thing kept popping up in the related topics and related queries button was when he searched eyeglasses in the St. Louis area was heart-shaped eyeglasses. So for whatever reason, you know, people were searching heart-shaped eyeglasses, heart-shaped frames at a disproportionate rate. So they were caring about it a little bit more. So that tells him potentially, if I'm going to open up this eyeglasses store, I might want to carry some heart-shaped eyeglasses because people care about them. So that's just one way, one example you could use this possibly in the future. And then one I'm going to highlight really quickly, I'm not going to go super in depth on this and we'll kind of close out, is IBIS World. This is a market research tool we have available at the VBox free of charge for you guys to use. And this is super, I would say this is the coolest tool we have, to be honest. If I'm just being honest, this is the coolest thing we have available. If I go to US industry reports, actually one thing they added here, I'm actually going to go to state reports that they just added. So this gives me all these different, you know, kind of industries and whatever I'm in, I can click into. So maybe I'm a home builder, let's say. And then whatever state I'm in. So it could be Alabama. Let's just do or Alaska. I just clicked on Alaska. So it gives me home builders in Alaska, gives me this really, really 40 some pages of everything I need to know about being in the home building industry in Alaska. And as you can see here, August 2022, they really update these a lot. So these are as live time almost as possible. So this isn't like 2-year-old data that's out there. This is really live time data from people that are in the home building industry in Alaska. Everything from the trends to the outlook of the industry to what employees are expecting to get paid. So if you're, you know, going to hire people, you know, kind of what they're expecting to get paid, know where the industry is trending. Everything you need to know about the industry is within this report. So really, really super in-depth tool. And I would say, I would ask you guys, you know, we can get a guess out here. If you were to purchase one IBIS World report privately, anybody have a guess how much money that would cost you out of pocket for one of these in-depth reports? Feel free to throw it in the chat box if you have something. I don't see any guesses yet, so I'll just give you the answer. How about that? It's about $1,100 for one of these private reports if you just do it privately and you just go and try to purchase one yourself.
Oh, just the report?
Yeah.
Not
So it's
like a subscription.
Yeah. So you get one report, and then they do have an option for a subscription as well, which I think is like, last time I checked, like $1,500 for 6 months. So they're really trying to get you to buy that subscription.
I was gonna say 10,000 for a year.
Yeah,
That's not even.
So they're really trying to get you to buy that subscription. But the reason I say that and I highlight that is just because these resources we're showing you, I just gave you one example. It saves you $1,100 if you were to just, you know, go to a VBOC or go to an SBDC or go through the library and some of the tools that they have. So it really could pay off for you in the end. Okay, so the last ones I'm going to show you, score.org. I will throw their website in the chat. Score.org, again, what they do is mainly that mentorship aspect, free mentorship. If anybody's looking to kind of get some guidance along the way, that is where they live. And you just click that find a mentor button, and then it'll be similar to our process. It'll have you sign up to get mentorship, and then they'll reach out to you from your local SCORE chapter. And then this is PTAC, so anything government contracting related. This is kind of my go-to for that. Free service, free of charge, no cost out of pocket. They can help you with everything from simply signing up and sam.gov and all the registration sites you need to sign up to, you know, securing contracts and what you need to do for that and capability statements. So everything government contracting from A to Z, they can assist you with. And then the very last one, SBA.gov. So SBA.gov is a great catch-all website for all of those other programs I showed you. And I'm going to show you the local assistance tab here. So you see, once I do that, scroll over that, SBDC, Small Business Development Center, SCORE, the VBox, Women's Business Centers. If I want to find the closest one to me, so let's just click SBDC, click into that, and I can find the SBDC in my area, Small Business Development Center, and then it should pop up here in a second with a, there we go, with a map. And then once I do that, I just enter my zip code and I can see on this drop down all the resources that I showed you guys. If you want to search any of them, you can. And I'll just click my zip code here in St. Louis. And then it gives me all the contact information for all the offices, all the SBDCs close to me. So I can get in contact with them and request their assistance, go straight to their website. However I want to tackle that, I can. But my main point is all these resources are out here to serve you guys. So there's no reason, not to reach out to these folks. I'll kind of leave it at that. But if there are any questions for me, I am more than open to answering those. That's all I got for you guys today.
Thank you so much, Mitch. They're so comprehensive. I'm really happy that we're able to get all of these resources in one place. It doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat. What I would like to leave off on is just to kind of highlight a little bit of what you said, is that these resources that are free of charge are out here. The access is here. You just have to make sure that you take advantage. Sorry, I just got a note. So I'm here to help guide you. The resources are here. Mitch is here. And for those of you who are not on this, but who will be watching later, and for those of you who are on it now, note that this is being recorded and a playback will be made available through YouTube, and I'll make sure that everybody who registered has access to that. So in that will also include links to the resources that I shared, as well as the presentation that Mitch has, if you'd like to share that with me, and then my contact information, as well as Mitch's contact information. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end this call. I'm being kicked out of the room. So again, feel free to keep in contact.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.